Hey, what's going on, my friend? It's Jeff Newpert from ChasingStrength.com. And in today's video, we are answering the question, why should I do core work if I'm already doing kettlebells? And I think that's a really smart and fair question, especially since many, if not most people who start using kettlebells think kettlebells work the core. And the truth is, the answer to this question depends on you, the individual. So, yeah, it's true. I have seen people fix their issues from kettlebell training. And unfortunately, I've seen people get injured using kettlebells. So my answer is I don't know whether you should do specific and or extra core training with your kettlebells or not, but I can give you some guidance, okay? So here are some reasons. I'll give you four of them. You should do direct and systematic core work even if you're already using kettlebells, okay? Number one, your lower back hurts, gets sore, or gets tight after using your kettlebells. Now, this could be an indication that your deep core musculature, also known as your inner unit, is not working properly to stabilize your spine and your pelvis, and your lower back is actually overworking. As a result, your hips and hamstrings are not fully doing their jobs, which is to move that kettlebell. Either that or your technique is just bad. And usually it's the first that causes the second. Number two, your knees hurt during or after your kettlebell use, or both, right? Same thing goes here. Unless, of course, you've gone to your doc and he says you have osteoarthritis, or which is, bone on, usually bone on bone or close to bone on bone, and you're staring down the barrel of a total knee replacement. And that's because your knee is trapped between both the hip and the foot. Your knee's almost like the middle child stuck between his little brother and his big sister in the back seat of the car. His big sister reaches across him to hit the snotty little brother, misses, and hits the kid in the middle. Many times the knee or the problems with the knee is just like that, right? And other times your body's innate stabilization mechanism is offline, okay? So the hip doesn't work properly. It can't fully internally or externally rotate or move fully into extension. As a result, your body rotates or ducks, turns your foot out, or your foot arch collapses or starts to collapse, and your knees take a beating, right? They take the brunt of that. This is only exacerbated by loading like swings and squats. Like I know firsthand because I suffered from 25 years of chronic bilateral knee pain from early teens into my late 30s. And once I started focusing on reflexive core stability work, followed up by specific strength work, right? That knee pain, it disappeared. Number three, you had some kind of abdominal, lower back, hip, or knee surgery and no follow-up rehab or poor follow-up rehab. And if you're a woman watching this, yes, a C-section counts. And that's because for whatever reason, the research has shown us when you have surgery on your abdominals, the lower back, hip, or knees, your body shuts down or unplugs its internal stabilization system. So what you need to do is reboot that internal stabilization mechanism, okay? Now, failing to address this and then loading the lower back, hips, knees, or even shoulders with kettlebell training can lead to injury. It's usually sooner rather than later. Okay, number four, you're trying to lose fat by using kettlebells, but you're not actually losing fat. Now, this is a weird one, so hear me out on this. As you probably have guessed by now, working is actually a stressor on your body, and so is working out. Okay, you have two types of stress: distress, which is bad stress, and eustress. So, fighting off an infection is distress. Laughing at a movie is eustress. Working out is a distress that becomes a eustress when the right conditions exist. So if you've met any or all of the conditions 1 through 3 above, using kettlebells increases stress or distress on your spine. Now, your spine houses your spinal cord, which is part of your CNS, your central nervous system. And your CNS controls your entire body, both consciously and subconsciously. So if you're unduly stressing the spinal column, this increases what's known in some circles as a threat response. And that amps up your sympathetic nervous system, okay? And worse, it keeps it amped up. See, your SNS, your sympathetic nervous system, is responsible for the fight or flight response. The adrenaline dump you get when you almost rear end the car in front of you, but don't, right? Or you're being chased by a bear. Your body also mobilizes cortisol for quick energy. Now, many people are in a chronic fight or flight state. So their cortisol levels are always elevated above normal. And as we've discussed many times in the past in videos on this channel before, chronically elevated cortisol levels signal fat storage in your midsection, the heart attack inducing stomach or visceral fat, right? Now, I know that may sound hard to believe. So here's a story about a private client. And this is like one of the hardest circumstances you'll probably ever experience. Okay. And it is if you are a perimenopausal cancer survivor. okay, like Karen. So Karen was 47 years old, and as I said, she was a perimenopausal cancer survivor, and she hired me to train her to pass her Strong First Gear SFG2 certification. Right now, the problem was she had chronic right shoulder instability from having one of her neck muscles removed as part of her cancer treatment, okay, years ago. So she and I stopped pressing and focused on rebuilding and restoring her reflexive core stability for an entire month. Which, now that I think of it, an entire month doesn't sound like very long, right? Especially compared to the 18 months that I did it. So what were her results? Well, she dropped about 15 pounds of fat and her press increased automatically on its own. All right. So there are 4 great reasons, kind of like the north, south, east, and west of reasons of why you'd want to start doing direct and even systematic core training work if you've been relying solely on your kettlebells for core training. If you need a program to train your core, right, check out my program, Systematic Core Training for Kettlebells. If you have one or more of those issues, I'll leave a link in the description below. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, click the like button, smash the subscribe button, share it with a friend who you know can benefit from this. And if you feel so inclined, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Until next time, my friend, stay strong.